I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Oh, look, see, we don't even know what's going on. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my God, that is horrible. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus. You know, for anybody that is not a Beatles fan, the one thing that I'm really happy about right now is I can do the intro count in to Taxman when George Harrison does it with his real smoky voice. Taxman comes up and he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then it starts. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to it, and it sounds just like me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Political Spotlight. This is episode 571, and I have a lot to talk about, but I'm going to try to do it as quickly as possible. Today's a big, big day, and we've got we've got a lot to get through, but I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible. I promise, and we'll get on. But give me 1 second because I need to finish something that I was not able to get finished right before we got started. I honestly fought with myself on whether or not we were actually going to do a show tonight, because you know, like I know, that I don't like bad audio, and this is not good audio, but I'll try to manage it as the best I possibly can. So give me just a second here. Hello, Brad Swinski. Surprised you're allowed to be over here. Thought you could only hang out with the professionals. Stand by 1 second. I need to get this last thing done here. See the date they had threw off. I knew that was funky, and I don't know why they did that. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I gotta make that date right. Hey, so anything big happen in anybody's worlds today? Did anything crazy happen? It says, I'm not even gonna try to do it. I'm just gonna leave it like this. That'll be good enough. We'll talk about it. I wish I would have done it better, but I'm not professional here, so you know how it is. Let me get this over here really quickly. It is what it is. I hate leaving that space. You'll see it. You'll know what I mean. Page 2. Download. Desktop. Actually, Kate, I tell you, you could help me real quick. I'm going to send you something in the group, and can you just put it in the overlays when I send it to you, and it'll be good enough. I tell you what, I'm going to send you two things. You look at it, and they're the same picture. You put in whichever one you think is the best. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Here we go. Sorry. The show's starting in earnest now. We've got a couple of different things that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to go through this in super fashion. So, of course, we're going to be talking about the Indiana State Senate vote, the wildly controversial House Bill 1032 that we were all waiting for. The results. And I have felt very confident that this was going to be a 28 or 29 in the negative category. Now, my grandparents are watching. I don't know if my grandmother is the kind of person that would probably lie for me, but if she would ask my grandpa on the couch right now, I've told him from the get-go on this that there were at least 30 senators that were against this. And with there being 30 senators against this, that's a very peculiar spot because there are only 10 Democrats in the state Senate. So that means at least 20 of the Republicans were going to have to vote with the Democrats to kill this. Now, I don't know if, she said, yep, right here. We got it right here. Thank you, Kate. My grandmother just, now I don't know if that's wait a minute. I gotta double check. Is that a yes? She would lie for me. Now you got to answer. Grandma, put in a number 1 if that's a yes, you will lie for me, or put in a number 2 if that is a yes. I've been telling you guys 30 people were against this. I wish I would have said that on the show. I've never said that on the show, so I'm not going to take credit for it because I haven't said it publicly. But I have been saying it in my private life that I felt that this, so it doesn't really matter if you didn't put it down, and if there's no picture, if you didn't put it down in audio, it doesn't matter. 1, 6, 7, 6, 7, 1 and 2. That is true. Alva, I get it now. 1 and 2. Yeah, that's correct. All right, she says 2. So now we know. It's official. We got the grandparents report. So I was not surprised. I was not surprised at all. I was surprised by some of these people's comments today. And we're going to play a clip from a piece here in a minute that I think is just wild, absolutely wild. So we're going to talk about that. That's one of the big things. Then number 2, we're going to bring it back to Muncie, bringing it back to Delaware County, bringing it back to Indiana House District Race 34. There's a big announcement in that race, so we're going to talk about that. And then at the end of the show, we're going to be heading over to Winchester. We're going to be heading over to Winchester and Randolph County to talk about what are we going to talk about over there? They paved the roads? No. They cured homelessness? No. We're of course, it's Winchester and Randolph County, so we're going to be talking about sex crimes and child porn. That's what it's going to be. That's what we're going to be talking about. So, all right, where do we go first? So, this ended. Let me ask you this. For anybody in the chat that's been following this redistricting, I don't care if you were in favor of the redistricting or if you were against the redistricting. I want to know, how did you think today was going to go? If you followed this at all and you knowing that the vote was happening today. I don't care what your opinion of was. I want to know what your gut feeling was. Did you think that this was going to pass? Or did you think that this would fail? And a pass means the redistricting would be pushed through the way that the national government wanted to be Trump and some of the Republicans. Or did you think that we would defeat this? And I want to, if you thought that it was a pass, put a 1. If you thought it was going to be a fail, put a 2. 1 is a pass, fail is a 2. I want to know what you thought would happen. Not what you hoped, but what you thought would happen. I was against it, but I thought I'd pass. Thought it would pass. Okay, 1, 1, 1. So I thought it would pass. I didn't think they were going to try again unless they knew they had the votes. Brad. Now, Brad, is that okay? Tommy Ice was 2. I just always felt from the get-go, and this was another thing. I don't know that I ever said this publicly, but I always felt that I got real mad at Bray when Bray changed his mind. And I'm going to tell you why. I've said since the get-go, and I was happy that some of the House members and a few of the senators said it. Not many said it. I was shocked that more people didn't say it. But I said, man, if they change course and they push this thing through after all of this swatting bullcrap has been happening, politics is dead in Indiana. Because from this point forward, anytime there's something controversial, all we got to do is put in a couple fake calls. Because here's the other thing. There's not ever going to be anybody arrested for this. Why is no one talking about it? Nobody's even talking about it. Nobody's even talking about it. Politics is dead. I was thinking, I don't know. I just thought that if they pushed that through, and they were like, "Well, we're being threatened, and now we got to do it," I think that's gross. So I was really confident. I'm not confident in a lot of stuff politically. I was very confident that this was not going to pass. So confident. Apparently, Alexander's office was telling constituents that he was not in favor of the redistricting, but then he voted for it. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know what his office was telling people. Hey, Ms. Ola, it's been a long time no see. Glad to see you. Get a hold of me sometime on the horn. I'm glad. I don't know what his office was telling people, but I know that he was telling people one-on-one that he was for it. And somebody said that he just had open heart surgery and that he went in and it just like recently had it. So I don't know what's going on there. And of course, look, I don't care what goes on politically. I hope everything's going okay with him health-wise. I hope everything's okay. I don't know what the situation was there. But I knew he was going to vote for it. He's just him and J.D. Prescott. It's like they're a hive mind. It's the same chicken shit thing. I knew that he would vote for it. He's a yes man. That's why he needs defeated, because he's just playing a game. It's not anything big. And listen, Al was talking about Trump threatening to withhold federal funding. He'll threaten that, and he'll kick it, and he'll push it, and he'll continue pushing that. But Indiana's too red still that will not work in his favor, and I don't think that'll end up happening in the long run. This is my Robert Kennedy impression. I don't know why I didn't start off with that. Vaccines, they're bad. Oh, God, we're going to get kicked off YouTube again. Oh, my God. So I want to say a friend of mine called his office. They told him that he was not in favor of the redistricting, but he voted. Oh, anyway. Well, I tell you, yeah, he's not going to be, he will not forget this. We will definitely keep him aware of the fact that he did vote for it. And I would like I would like to find out if anybody else out there, Scott told me he was in favor and even released a statement. See, I had seen the statement, but I will tell you, Mazzol is not the only person that I've heard say that about Scott. I also know that J.D. Prescott was originally against it. Prescott was originally against it. And then on November 19th, Prescott released a statement stating that he was switching his mind. His mind had changed. Prescott's statement said, "I want to make clear that I support strong national leadership in an effort to ensure Indiana is positioned to work effectively with the Trump administration. I believe this redistricting effort is an important step as our nation prepares for the years ahead. That begins with maps that reflect where we Hoosiers stand and give our state a meaningful voice in Washington as major decisions are made. I was initially a no," Prescott says, "because I did not like the precedent that it set to redraw maps mid-cycle. However, once multiple states moved ahead with the change, their maps, the political rules of engagement shifted. Given that, it's important for Indiana to not sit idly by while other states reshape representation and influence. After review, it became clear that moving forward is the responsible choice to protect our state standing in the national stage. This effort is about the future of our country. If we want to protect our republic and make sure our national government reflects the direction of communities we want, we need to get this done. Indiana must be a part of that work so our state's voice remains strong and effective in the U.S. Capitol. Let me tell you this right now. Let me tell you this. These are not words that J.D. Prescott is smart enough to say. Period. I don't care what anybody says. I know J.D. Prescott. I've listened to J.D. Prescott talk. These are words that J.D. Prescott was told to say. These are things that J.D. Prescott was told that he needed to put out if he was going to be the no vote. And I can tell you, what's funny about this is a question that I was asked on 93.1 the other day when I was on, and I played it for you guys the last time we were here. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this, just this real quick segment for you again, just so you guys can hear this. I want you to hear what Casey asked me.
Came up with a bunch of
26 clean with zero res.
Chester.
Yeah.
And Bill, there's a thing.
It's I would say that's not
Thing.
That's
Frustrating because
Or time online.
fascinating parts of Flip, especially guys like Craig Haggard. It's the stuff legends are made of. Why do you think so many of these guys make definitive statements and then look like complete idiots when they flip?
I cannot figure that out, because the issue is they do it every time and nothing changes. And I just think that they don't care. It does not matter what they tell us, because it doesn't matter. They're going to be protected. As long as they do what the establishment wants, they're going to be protected.
So why do they say anything?
That is what.
Here comes Casey.
Because I think that they hope that they're going to win a couple people over, and then maybe nobody will pay attention, or people won't follow enough, or people will forget. I think that's what happens.
All right, so let's talk about J.D. Prescott for a second, because you've brought us something that is just amazing, and I want to discuss it here. In the system, we're going to fix the system.
That's not a phrase or a statement that.
That's when they can change their mind.
Here we go.
On a statement from November 19th.
Sounds like something a normal person would say, Casey.
Well, the political rules of engagement have shifted. My question is on this whole thing. Most people make a decision with the information they have in the moment. And then when new information becomes available, that's when they can change their mind. I mean, don't you think that that's a possibility, that these people have gotten new information? We don't know what it is, but they've gotten new information which has swayed them in a different direction.
Sure, that's a very good possibility that happened, but why don't we know what that is? Why aren't they telling us what this is? From the hearings yesterday, Senator Gaskell stated that he had seen these maps a week before the author of the bill did. So there's definitely information out there that we don't know. That's my problem. Why don't we know it?
We don't know it. We don't know it. I'm past the point. Listen, you know what we as Republicans, as conservatives have done for the last however many years? We have made fun of the Democrats, and we have bitched about the Democrats, saying we just got to pass the bill to know what's in it. If you pass the bill, then you can know what's in it. I'm not okay with my people saying that same thing. I'm not going to be okay with that. I'm not going to be okay with the Democrats saying it. I'm not okay with the Democrats saying it. I'm not going to be okay with our people saying it. If there's something more out there than, well, we're just doing this for political points. We're just doing this so we can put another Jefferson Shreve, so we can put another person like Scott Alexander or J.D. Prescott in these places and send them to Washington. I'm not okay with that. That's not a win for me. That's not a win for me. I don't know where I read this today. I forget who put this out, but somebody said it is time for these old backroom deal cutting folks that are in Washington and at the state houses and even in the local government to sit down, and younger people to start taking it over, who can start having ideas rather than, well, we're just going to shut the door and we're going to go behind the scenes and make the plans. I'm just so sick of it. And I sat through everything today. I've sat through every aspect of this for the last 2 weeks, and no Republican has said anything that has turned my mind in just the slightest. Now, I'm going to be honest. The other thing that I don't think people are catching on to is everyone keeps all of the people that are Republicans that are mad at the Republicans that voted no. They keep saying, well, it's not going to help you if you buddy up with the Democrats. Listen, this bill was defeated today 31-19, or it failed 19-31 rather. That means 19 people voted for it. 19. Well, there are only 10 Democrats. Excuse me. 19 people voted for it. 31 people voted against it. 31 people voted against it. There are only 10 Democrats. So the 21 Republicans that voted against this, the 21 Republicans voted against this. They voted against it for very different reasons than the Democrats did. The Democrats that voted against this and the Republicans that voted against this voted against it for very different reasons. That's also crazy that no one can understand this. It's not like they're locking arms and riding off into the sunset, and it's, these people are just, it's like they're a team now. I don't understand why people cannot comprehend that people are capable of thinking the same thing for different reasons. You thought it's interesting. The Republicans that voted in favor of this, it's important to name them: Scott Alexander, District 26, Ron Alting, District 22. Scott Baldwin, District 20. They voted in favor. Liz Brown, she was off the chain today, District 15. Justin Bush, District 16. Gary Byrne, District 47. Cindy Carrasco, District 36. Stacy Donato, District 18. Aaron Freeman, District 32. Chris Garton, District 45. Mike Gaskell, District 25. Yeah, he was nuts. Gaskell is insane. The fact that he was put on to chair this on the Senate was just nuts. That I'm going to show you a funny picture here in a minute with Gaskell. Tyler Johnson, District 14, he voted yes. Eric Koch voted yes, District 44. Randy Maxwell, 43, voted yes. Jeff Rotz, of course, Jeff Rotz would. Rotz, JD, Alexander, they're all one person. Daryl Schmidt, 48. Jim Tomes, 49. Michael Young, 35. And Andy Zay, District 17. They were the Republicans that voted yes. The Republicans that voted no, Bassler, 39. Becker, 50. Bohachik, the DUI guy, District 8. Roderick Bray, the speaker, he's not the speaker, he's the president pro tem, District 37. Buchanan, Buck voted no, District 21. Buchanan, 7. Brett Clark, Mike Kreider, Deary, Dernick, Dorit, I don't know I never know what that guy's name is. It's like Dorit, Glick, Good, Holdman. I was surprised to see that Holdman voted no. Lysing, Missler, Niemeyer, Rogers, both the Walkers, Kyle Walker, 31, Greg Walker, 41. And that was it. I'll put this out so you guys can see the whole list on my social media on both X and Facebook. And then, of course, all 10 of the Democrats. We'll put that out. I'll put these lists out so you guys can see that. They're literally everywhere. But I want to show you guys something because there's been a lot of craziness that happened. Now that this is over, and now that the state house and the state senators can get to work, hopefully doing something that benefits Hoosiers. They probably are not going to. It's going to be a shit show. I've been looking at the rest of the bills. There's nothing there. There's a couple things I'm interested in, but basically nothing. It's going to be a short session because we have people that need to get on with campaigning, especially because some of them are going to be primaried, apparently, as it goes. But I want to show you something. What's really interesting to me is we've had all of this swatting, all of these bomb threats, all of this violence or supposed violence. And now that this is over, that's all going to go away. I want to hear nonstop police investigation. I want to know. I want suspects. I want people arrested. I want people charged. And I want people prosecuted. I need to know what's going on. And this is going to be ridiculous if this just slides away off into the, nothing. And we never hear any more about it. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I condemn every bit of it. And I don't care if it was a Republican doing it to other Republicans to try to sway vote. I don't care if it was a Democrat. I don't care if it was a kid. I don't care if it was an adult. I don't care if it was somebody from in the country, out of the country. Whoever it is, I condemn all of it. And I also condemn, and you're right, it won't happen. That's the thing. It won't happen. We won't ever hear anything more about it. That's what's gross. But I also want to talk about, there's now a push to talk about people that hold government accountable being responsible for this violence. And one of those voices came from none other than elected state representative Jim Lucas, who earlier today made a post that said the following. I'm going to put it up here on the screen so you guys can see it. And this is absolutely gross. Jim Lucas says, "Hey, Rob Kendall with 93.1 WIBC. Keep fanning the flames of hatred toward elected Indiana officials. Over a dozen state representatives and senators are dealing with death threats, bomb threats, and swatting. And I have someone that said they were going to shoot me in the face. But keep telling everyone how much we hate them for the ratings and clicks, of course." Now, this is nuts, because as controversial as Jim Lucas is, and as much shit and vitriol that he puts out there, and look, I'm okay with it because he has a constitutional right to say it, but he angers plenty of people on his own. Nobody has ever, no one has ever threatened Jim Lucas because of something that Rob Kendall or anybody else on 93.1 WIBC or anyone else ever anywhere have ever said. Nobody has ever threatened this idiot. You want to know who could possibly be threatening this guy? How about the family that have lost loved ones to DUI drivers? Maybe they're mad and upset with him. Has he thought about that? Has he thought that some of his racist comments have possibly caused someone to threaten him? Now, look, I don't want anybody threatening Jim Lucas. I don't think that should happen. And if they are, they should be arrested and they should be tried and dealt with. But I'm telling you, Rob Kendall holding somebody accountable is not, I've never in my entire life heard any Rob Kendall say anything other than hold these people accountable in the proper way, polite. You can be angry, you can be pissed off, but I've never heard Rob ever use violence or violent rhetoric when talking about any elected official. Rob Kendall has been an elected official. And so I want you to hear this. I was actually surprised, and I will give Jim credit. Jim and Rob had a back and forth this evening on another program on Hammer and Nigel. And I want to play that for you now because Rob holds his own. And I want you to hear how this elected official spoke to Rob. And this is something else that we're starting to see, how these elected officials are speaking to constituents and people in the media, commentators, reporters, journalists. And that's something we have to ask. Are we okay with this? I want you to hear this. Put this up here for you. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to the Hammer Show.
It's Nigel, Jason Hammer, right over there with a very special guest on the hotline.
Rob Kendall.
Yes.
On the Kendall and Casey show, 9 to noon here at 93 WIBC. And Rob, are you doing the dance of joy at home in your tidy whities after seeing the results of the Senate vote? I know you are very much against redistricting. How happy are you, and why do you think this happened?
Yeah, I was like Tom Cruise in Risky Business, dancing around in my underwear.
So, reset, why were you against this so much?
Well, look, I think if you just give people something without them earning it, they're never going to earn it. And if you just handed the Republicans 2 seats, which they haven't earned by governing, they're never going to do the things that they promised to do when they campaign. That first district is winnable if you make people believe in you. If you give people policies and reasons to vote for you, they're going to do it. I believe in fair elections. The maps as they exist today look almost identical to Todd Rokita put together when he was Secretary of State with Rethink Redistricting, which was to take the politics.
I'll bring up the Trump thing in a minute.
Our state is a 60-40 state. The maps are 78% Republicans, 7-2. They are a great representation of our state in favor of the Republicans. And if you want to win that first congressional district, do it by governing.
So what's your response to those who say, okay, that's great. You believe in fair maps. I get that. That's noble. But other states don't, like Illinois and New York and California. And sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. If somebody punches you in the face, you got to punch them in the face and do the same thing. Do you
let me jump
have any
forward? Sorry.
Taxes and growing government?
I thought we were already there.
Thing when we see bad Republican governance, we talk about
Tim Rod Bray, because I've always said, and if you're
on cave to Rod Bray on the property
up again, what's going on with you and Representative Lucas?
Here we are.
Well, nothing says Billy Badass like being delete tweet guy, and so he put out.
Okay, so number one, I don't think I mentioned this. So first of all, Jim Lucas put this tweet out like a couple of hours ago, and then after he started getting a bunch of hate posts, quote unquote, after he started getting a bunch of negative posts, he deleted it. So I have problem number one with that he put a post out as an elected official, and then he deleted it. And I will speak on the Trump thing. Just let's get through this. I'll speak on the Trump thing here at the end of this. So first thing is he made that tweet, then he took it back, which I think that's bullshit. But let's listen.
Out some Facebook post earlier today. I was told it was around 1:00, and then I guess deleted it because it doesn't exist anymore. That somehow me going after these politicians in a peaceful, polite society, decent manner, abiding by all FCC rules and regulations, somehow pointing out how Republicans vote in Indiana, that I'm responsible for the bomb threats and the swatting and everything else. And that is just disgusting. Our program talks about how these guys vote. We talk about why it's harmful to people. We talk about the taxes they raise. We talk about utility bills. We talk about all these things these guys do and why it's harmful to people. And he can't stand that to the point where he puts out this Facebook post basically accusing me of being responsible for all the stuff that I had nothing to do with.
All right, so we're going to try something here. And if we hang up on you, then we'll have Allison call you back. Again, new studio. There's some things we're working out here. We're crossing our fingers. We're going to try to bring on Representative Jim Lucas right now. Oh,
yep.
I thought that's amazing.
There's that.
There it was.
Do we have anybody over there, Allison? Do we got Representative Lucas?
They're in a new
Mr.
studio.
Lucas, are you there?
Right, here's
I
Jim.
am here.
Okay, so I think we may have accidentally hung up on Rob, but we'll try to call Rob back here in just a moment. But I don't know if you could hear Rob right there, but he's like, look, it's not the radio host's fault that people are getting swatting threats and death threats. I'm calling balls and strikes. I'm calling it how I see it. I'm just the radio guy. I'm not changing anybody's laws
David.
here in Indiana. Take me through your perspective on this little back and forth with Rob.
Wow. I mean, Rob has a lot to do with that by the hate that he foments. I mean, he calls everybody up there, the elected officials that have run and been elected by their communities, saying how they are stupid, worthless cowards that couldn't run a lemonade stand and how we hate our constituents. And that is just a horrible message to send out on a regular daily basis, 3 hours a day. I mean, he pounds that home. That's his whole show, is how much he says we hate everybody up there. And there's not a person I work with on either side of the aisle. There's 150 of us, and then the governor's office. Nobody hates their constituents. So him continually fomenting that is really,
I think he means,
has
is he
people
meaning
amped up.
foment?
I was on the phone this morning.
What's he saying there?
Police officers.
Fomenting?
I currently have a second
That's what I should have
person,
called the show. Fomenting.
that threatened. They said they're going to shoot me in the face. Somebody made that threat.
Yeah, that's awful.
Okay, now I have a guy going. He's on trial. He's going to trial in January for 4 felony counts of death threats. Now that's just me. We've had over a dozen just today, some really, really good friends of mine that are getting bomb threats at their home, where they live at, and with their families.
Right. But if Rob's being critical, and I'm just being devil's advocate
Probably,
here, if he's being
David.
critical of lawmakers who are raising his taxes and screwing him on property taxes and various other things, and he's like, you know what? I think you guys hate us, and he rips you on the air. I think that's a far cry from somebody threatening to shoot you in the face.
What? But saying that we hate our constituents, you don't see any connection there?
Let me bring Rob back. Rob, are you there with us right now? Do you hear the representative?
Here it
Rob,
goes.
can you hear it?
Sure, I can hear you. Jim, first of all, why'd you delete the post?
It wasn't worth the hassle. I mean, we've been through it before. Everybody knows.
Wasn't
how I
worth the
feel about
hassle.
you. And I got tired of it. I can put it back up if you want.
No, I just think you're a total gutless coward. And Jim, we go out of our way to tell people they should engage with you. They should do it in a peaceful manner. They do have the right to tell you what they think of you. And I think if you are taking money from people and wasting it on things like the IEDC, hundreds of millions of dollars in corruption that was exposed, utility bills are skyrocketing,
Right.
Property taxes are out of control. I do think you hate your constituents. And I have told people that they should engage with you in a peaceful manner. That is disgusting what you did today, Jim. And you knew it was bad, and you knew you were going to get blowback. That's why you took it down. So you can apologize
Rob.
right now. Apologize, Jim. Why'd you take it down?
Kiss my ass, Rob. I'm not apologizing for anything.
Kiss my ass,
Everyone is
Rob.
hearing this right now. This is an elected official, a guy who drove drunk. He blew through a barricade. He fled the scene. He lied to the cops. And this is his response that the radio guy, who has no control over anything other than pointing out how you vote and saying engage with your constituents in a peaceful manner, that I'm the bad guy and I'm the fault of the swatting. Jim, most of the people who have been swatted or had bomb threats, many of them are on my side on this issue. That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Representative, I'll give you the
disagree.
final word in this little back and forth here because time's a factor here. Representative, I'll give you one more word and then I'll close with Rob.
Well, I know what Rob's going to say. He's going to come back and be negative, but to call me a gutless coward is laughable at best. Here I am. I'm on here.
Yeah.
I put up a post. I took it down.
After
And
some
I
liquid
put up
courage.
posts like those before, Rob. And you were always the same disingenuous, intellectually dishonest, narcissistic ass that you are every day on the radio. And so that's why people laugh at you anymore, because you're the same broken record.
I think this is the most time somebody's called Rob Kendall an ass since our group text where he was jinxing a bet of mine, Nige. Rob, I'll give you the final word here.
Well, first of all, I'm always a joke. Nobody takes me serious, but yet I'm so influential that somehow I'm facilitating violent acts against or violent threats against elected officials. We were number one against this again this month. And I hope everybody hears this. This guy is obsessed with me. He's not obsessed with hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud and abuse and corruption in the IEDC. He's not obsessed with your skyrocketing utility bills. He's not obsessed with skyrocketing property taxes. He's not obsessed with one of the highest gas taxes in the nation. He's obsessed with one guy with the platform who talks about how he votes and what he does. And his response is, you're responsible for violence that you have nothing to do with. That's your Indiana government. That's your Indiana General Assembly. That's your Indiana Republican Party. Thanks, Jim.
Gentlemen.
All right, so that was that, and I think that was important. I know a lot of people heard that. Hammer and Nigel's a very popular and well listened to program, but I thought that was a very important thing to listen to because I don't have a problem with pushing and being tough and being hard towards elected officials, and I don't have a problem with it sometimes getting heated. That's okay. I'm fine with that. I do that plenty of times. And we are in a big boy world, and people do have a First Amendment right to say the things they want. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be consequences from various actions that occur. But you have to look at it, and you have to look at what's happening, how it's happening. And I want to be really honest. We on here have griped a lot about how media has been very poor. Across the board, national media, state media, local media. It's really sucked. Do I have a problem with men are so emotional? maybe they've linked up with their cycles. Very good possibility. Rob has been at the State House here lately, so it's possible. Do I have a problem with Trump saying as a whole, calling the media out as a blanket statement? No, I do not have a problem with that. We've done the same thing. I've thought the same thing before Trump was ever in the picture. A lot of people have said that. Do I like when Trump does the thing where he just comes out blasting some young woman that's asked a question or some of the comments he makes? Absolutely not. I like some things that Trump does, and there's other things that I don't like that he does. And those things are self-forced errors. Those are the things that he doesn't need to do. And that's not something that's endeared me to Donald Trump. I think that's nonsensical. And yeah, sure, I believe it. People like Jim Lucas, who cannot think for themselves, are seeing that, and they think, well, it's okay. Papa Trump did it, so I can do it. That's exactly why. That's absolutely why. Lucas doesn't have thoughts of his own that he can push together to do this. He thinks it's okay. It's okay for me to call a citizen, a journalist on the air, an ass, because that citizen has told people to hold me accountable. Rob has never used violence, urged violence. Everything Rob has ever done I would say that Rob doesn't go far enough, because he is handcuffed, or what he believes is handcuffed by the FCC, by his contract. Rob and I have battled it out because of that. I don't think Rob goes far enough on a lot of these things. Rob and I have not, and look, I'm not always on the same side as Rob. Rob and I battled all through last year. And I will give Rob credit. And I said this the other day, that he manned up on the radio and said that we had told him about JD. I will take it a step further. I wasn't here last night. I was going to say this last night. I was sick all day yesterday. But the day after I was in, and to his credit, Rob did wear the shirt, the Worm of Winchester shirt. He wore it all day yesterday. So that was cool. And he gave us a shout out at the beginning of the show. So very cool, Rob. But Rob even made more comment yesterday on the show about the situation with Micah and how that all happened and what his thoughts on all that was. And I even give him more credit for what he said yesterday. So he earned back a little, more respect, in my opinion, because he did that. So I can respect that. That being said, Jim Lucas is a nut job. He needs to be defeated. This is a situation. Brad, this is a very strange situation where, yet again, we can say Jim Lucas, as a Republican, needs to be defeated. He needs to go away, and he can set and rant and rate, carry on in his own house on Twitter and be the nobody that he truly is. I mean that in every aspect that he wants it to be set in. I wish him no harm. And, please don't file a restraining order against me because I'm talking to you on my show. So that's that. Let's see. What was the last thing I was going to say here? Yes, Admiral. Rob did a good job on that. The last thing I was going to say on this. Oh, no, the last thing I was going to say was that was the Senate that obviously killed the bill. What's funny is 4 minutes after the Senate adjourned. Okay, so the vote was cast and they adjourned probably 3 to 4 minutes after the vote was cast, after they knew the total. So a total of like 7 minutes after the vote was cast, Beckwith had the following, he released the following statement. Now, of course, he had both statements ready to go because, he wanted to be prepared either way. I think it's funny that they were that not confident into this. Why? if you're that not confident, why push this? How much money did this bullshit cost the taxpayers of Indiana? We still don't know that. And I want to know that. I've issued some record requests. Who knows when we'll get that? But I have issued record requests attempting to find out how much money this nonsense has cost us. And so I'll let you know as soon as we hear something back on that. But about 7 minutes after the vote, the lieutenant governor of the state of Indiana had the following statement to make. Let me get this pulled up here. Newest. Okay, he said, if Hoosiers were hoping to see an ounce of courage from the Senate today, they did not get it. A vote against redistricting undercuts years of work throughout the state. Years of work throughout the state. How many years have we been working on this? The people who have stood with President Trump and pushed for a system that reflects their voices have been clear in the direction they want to Indiana move. Where are these Hoosiers? I've not heard from any. I've not seen any Hoosiers around the state. You might have one here, you might have one there, but I'm telling you, you are nuts to think that an overwhelming majority have wanted this. There's no majority out there pushing for this. Yet again, the Senate chose a different course. Hoosiers expected a backbone, but many of them proved to be spineless. When leaders hesitate at the exact moment that calls for clarity, voters take note. Primary season has arrived, and they will remember who walked away from the fight. And that's only to be outdone by the governor's statement that he put out roughly 45 minutes afterwards. Governor Braun said, I'm very disappointed that a small group of misguided state senators have partnered with Democrats to reject the opportunity to protect Hoosiers with fair maps and to reject the leadership of President Trump. Ultimately, decisions like this carry political consequences. I will be working with the president to challenge these people who do not represent the best interest of Hoosiers. Talk about not being able to read the room. Yeah, a small group. It's actually a majority of Republican senators, Governor. Bon voyage. I'm telling you, this man is a weak link. He is a lame duck. How bad is it to be a one-termer, to be a lame duck, to be done? And your first year is not even over yet. He has shot any re-election chance in the foot in the first 11 months and 11 days. He almost made it to the second year, but he has ended any chances of a re-election within his first year of his first term. And I think that's fantastic. Hopefully, if we keep on this track, he might just be so put out that he'll have to resign. That would be great. The only thing that would be worse about that, though, is because then we would have Beckwith. So I don't know if I'm okay with that. But yeah, it's so wild. Yeah, like you said, Kate, if you take out the Democrats, it still loses 21-19. So yeah, that's crazy. The very, very last thing I want to say about this is, as someone that's been a disruptor, and I don't mind to be a disruptor and give a little pushback, and sometimes pushback is worthy. And I'm not saying that, well, let me back up. On the floor of the Senate, the floor of the House, decorum is needed. And I'm not saying that there isn't a time for someone to maybe be a little politically theatrical and maybe blurt something out and need to be escorted out. I'm not against that. However, yes, decorum does need to be maintained. And I have no problem with the presiding officer, either be it the Speaker of the House or the Senate Pro Tem or the Lieutenant Governor, of keeping decorum. I have no problem with them gaveling the person down. I have no problem with them telling the officers to remove someone from the gallery if that's what's needed. Today, I witnessed just an absolute ridiculous happening. During Senator, I don't know who it was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Liz Brown, during Liz Brown's time at the podium, there were two outbursts. They came about 3 minutes apart. The first outburst happened. You couldn't hear any of it. Just it stopped her from talking. Beckwith gavelled the person down. And then he says, "Yeah, oh yeah, you're crazy." And I'm thinking, oh, dude, don't mouth these people. Just gavel them and tell the officers to take them out. Then, like 3 minutes later, more outbursts come from the gallery, and he starts gaveling them, and he's just egging these people on, just going. And I am so shocked. It floors me that every day these guys can show just how out of touch with this is. When the hell is he going to grow up and do what's right? Again, it's because he's a politician. He doesn't have the ability to do what's right. He does not have the ability to come to that fork in the road and make the left decision when he needs to make right. He always does the wrong decision. He does not have the ability. It's shocking. Yeah, he let his emotions get into it. Yeah, Braun has to stay. I can't live with Beckwith. So we'll continue following this and looking at everything else that's into it. Of course, I'm going to be looking at out of the 21 Republicans that voted for it or against it, which one of those are up for re-election and which ones will be being primaried and thrashed by other Republicans like Trump and the governor, which again in Indiana makes you a Republican. Well, I guess if they're, as long as they're backing other Republicans. I don't know. It's so crazy. It's just crazy that we're going to have Republicans trashing other Republicans because of a vote. Anyways, I guess it is what it is. We'll follow all of that, and there will be a lot more to do. This just happened today. I've not been 100% out myself, so there's more that we'll have to be looking into over the next couple of coming days and weeks. All right, moving ahead. In the city of Muncie, not completely done with state house government, but at a different kind of take here. In the city of Muncie today, some big news came in the form of an announcement. And that announcement, ladies and gentlemen, is that former deputy mayor of Muncie and current Kate, are you there? Are you in the middle of something? I think she's in the middle of something. Stand by. Give me 1 second, folks. Give me just 1 second. I've got to take something. I've got to spray some stuff in my throat. I'll be right back. Stay right there. Talk amongst yourselves just for a second. Okay, sorry. sorry. Well, that stuff's nasty, but hopefully will help us here a little bit. Okay, man. Richard Ivey announced the Republican nomination in Indiana House District 34. Richard M. Ivey has announced his candidacy for the Indiana House Representative seat representing District 34. Ivey will seek the Republican nomination to the seat in the party's May 5th primary election. A press release said his decision to run came in a political moment defined by public frustration and a growing demand for a responsible, common sense leadership. Now, coming from the Ridenour administration, I don't really know how much he knows about responsible, common sense leadership. However, I will tell you, I am not going to knock him a whole lot for Dan. And I will tell you, no matter anything I've ever questioned the Ridenour administration about, no matter anything I ever said about Ridenour or Ivey has always treated me respectfully. He's always answered questions, and he's always been polite. So I'm going to tell you, I reached out to Ivey today, and I told Ivey that I wanted to speak with him, and he told me that he was busy today, but that he would reach out to me very soon. I said, okay, so I'm going to give him a little bit of time. I told him that I was congratulating him on his announcement, and we'll see where that goes. Now, he's not the only person in the race. This now means the Republicans have at least two candidates to choose from, because already in the race is Randall McAllister, and Randall's been running for this position for like the last year and a half. So we now have two Republicans, Randall McAllister and Richard Ivey. And I'm going to give both of them a chance to win me over. At this point, I cannot say which one at this point that I would support. I am not I'm not familiar enough with Randall to say I can take Randall straight away. I've only had a small handful of dealings with him, and I've only spoke to him a handful of times. So at this point, I'm not saying like I support Ivey over Randall or Randall over Ivey. I will give both of them a chance to interview, and we'll see what happens. Now, this thing is interesting to me because I don't believe Alva, I just saw his comment. I don't believe Ivey. You'll understand why I got the two confused. Alva and Ivey tend to look a lot alike. I don't believe that Ivey would have thrown his hat in the ring unless there's definitive proof, evidence that Errington is not running. Now, I have not heard her say that she wasn't running. I've not heard that at all. I did send her a text this evening, and I did ask if she had decided to run or not. And she's not said anything. She's not answered me. I will tell you, Mazzola just asked, are there any Democrats running? I have been hearing for the last, since the spring of this year, I have been hearing that Muncie City Council District 4 Sarah Gullion has been either looking herself at running, or the Democrats currently in control have been looking at running her. Now, see, keep in mind, for the longest time, Sue Errington, as a Democrat, was not part of the Democrat headquarters. She only folded into the mix when this new leadership came in. So I don't think that she's at odds with this Democrat leadership. I just don't know. I would assume she's done. They said 2 years ago she wasn't going to run. And then at the last minute, I think because her husband passed away and she had some time, she said that she would run again. And I think for the last 2 years, it's been said that she was going to be done after this term. But I don't have confirmation of that yet. So as of right now, all that I know is Ivy's running as a Republican. Randall McAllister is running as a Republican. Sue Errington currently holds the seat. I don't know if she's running or not. I assume she's not, but I have not got that confirmed. And I know that at least somebody, either Sarah has been interested or the Democrats are interested in Sarah running. Now, that's interesting because if Sarah would win, that would mean they would need to find a replacement for the District 4 seat. I will tell you, Sarah Gullion needs to really consider not running for this seat, but actually just resigning from her council seat because she's awful. Nice person. She's a dingbat. And she's too anxious and she's too like, I can't deal with it. She causes me to have anxiety. And she's a great person, nice person. Going to be all kinds of mad that I'm saying this, but I'm fine with that. Be mad. Just, she can't do what she's doing now. She certainly would not be, Mazzola, dude, all it would take, I could send you 2 snippets of video out of the last 2 months, and it would drive you out of your mind. It's nuts. So yeah, she's not a good fit. I don't know who else they might have, but that's where we are. And I wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay. I've been a conservative before. It was cool. The last thing, and I told you we were going to make this short. I promised you. Oh, yes. Good. Randall's here. Look, yeah, I'll have you guys on. I'll have you on one at a time or whatever. We can talk to you and do all that stuff. I'm not saying that there's anything against you. And you will admit that we haven't talked but a handful of times. So that's just being open and honest. Okay. The last thing that I have to say here tonight is this thing. Just absolutely shocking. When I was coming back from the Kendall and Casey show on Tuesday, I started getting a bunch of messages from Winchester asking me if I knew anything about the raid that occurred. And I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. What raid? What raid are you talking about? And they said, oh, there's a big police action down, just right down, just down from everywhere. I mean, everywhere in Winchester is just right down from everywhere. So I don't know what I was trying to say there. But they said, we think that it's the doctor's house. And for those of you that don't know, when I say the doctor, I'm talking about Dr. Symes. And she is somebody that I would say has been an arch nemesis of mine for a long time for a lot of different reasons. But I was like, dude, what could they be raiding her house for? And then it clicked into my brain. I'd forgotten all about this. Dr. Syme has a child who's an adult child who tried to run for city council back a couple years ago and stopped running, or just, I don't know what happened there, was knocked out of running and was threatened or whatever, because there was an allegation that he had been involved in some kind of child sex deal. Either he had molested somebody, or there was the allegation that he had molested somebody, and there was a bunch of weirdness around that. And so he bowed out of it. Yes.
No, he wanted the Democrats to sign off on him to run.
Yeah.
Because he was so young, he hadn't voted in enough primaries.
Right.
So he wanted to go as a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't get the signature, but filed anyway, so he ended up getting challenged.
Yeah.
So he got thrown off the ballot.
Right.
But the thing about that was some kind of rumor that when he was younger, he was involved in some kind of...
Well, so I was trying to avoid the Josh connection.
That somehow he was involved in some kind of child thing.
It's not,
but it was rumors.
No, it definitely happened. I don't know if you remember me telling you. So we'll dive into this a little bit. I've talked about this. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this.
Yeah, you probably have, but it's been a while. And
tell me if you remember this. So my ex-wife and I at the time were talking about becoming a
now I remember
foster parent or something to then take in a kid.
I remembered.
Yeah. And so we were going to take this kid in, and we ended up not doing it, but the kid went to the Symes. And this kid was quickly pulled out of the Symes because of this incident.
Okay.
So that incident absolutely happened. What didn't happen, and it was a sad thing, is because the reason that we were going to take the kid is because the kid's mother had problems with heroin and was in and out of jail and all the stuff. So because this kid didn't really have an actual people looking after them, nothing happened. And so because the doctor was the doctor, they were able to brush this under the rug. And so nothing came of it.
Okay.
Joshua Kimbrell, comically enough, learned of this and then used this to...
Hot meat kettle.
Yeah, right. Tell me about it. It's so bizarre. Kimbrell used this to then blackmail this kid out of trying to run anymore or whatever. And they had some very weird interactions. Then Kimbrell and Lewis got connected, and somehow Lewis and this kid got connected. Okay. So there was a bunch of crazy stuff happening with all these people. Now, understand this was all after more or less like right near the end of Josh being connected to us. And anyway, we broke up with him and went our separate ways, and he went that way, and all this shit started happening. Okay. So I was like, oh God, certainly this is not happening like that's not happening at the Symes house. Like, surely that's something, someone's got to have something off with this. And then I started hearing Are you talking? Are you looking where? Where am I looking? Give me a second here. Well, yeah, this is where we're going. Yeah. So I started hearing from, sorry, Kate, I was doing some behind the scenes talking there. That happens. I started hearing some chats where people were telling me, hey, we think this has something to do with Lewis. We think that Lewis is talking and Lewis is telling all of his dirty secrets. And because of that, all of this stuff's happening. And, now all of these raids are happening everywhere. And I was like, man, that sounds too good to be true. And first of all, like, it would be cool if it was happening at elected officials' homes or city officials' homes. But this is just happening at someone's home that is not connected to anybody. No, that don't make a lot of sense to me. So I was like, let me see what I can do. Well, was it yesterday that you sent that to me? Okay. Yesterday, Kate, being the good producer that she is, sends me this. And this is a picture of Julian J. Sulek. Now, what's interesting to me here is this says Julian J. Sulek, date 12/8/25, charges possession of child pornography ×2, agency Indiana State Police. But then his bookend photo says 12/9/25. The raid happened on 12/9/25. So I'm going to have to ask the sheriff's department tomorrow why there's a discrepancy here. I think it's probably because the Indiana State Police prepared the documentation the day before and turned that in. And so that's why it is. But they served the warrant on Tuesday. Now, the first thing that happened when I saw this was, number one, it's not the name of the kid that I was given. So when everybody was calling me, they were saying it's blank Sulek. And I said, okay. Well, then when I started calling around, everybody was like, yeah, no, it's not who you're saying. It's not blank Sulek. So then when Kate sent this to me, I saw that it was Julian. So Julian is a brother. And so I sent a record request to the Randolph County Clerk's office today asking for the probable cause sheet. And at 2:22 today, I got back an email from the clerk that said there has not been a probable cause affidavit filed in this case. That's a problem. There's only two ways that you can jail somebody. You can jail somebody on a warrant. It's a sheet that's been signed off on by the judge that they read and they give a copy to the jail. And that goes to the clerk's office, and I can call and get a copy of that. Or a probable cause affidavit. So I called the Randolph County Sheriff's office. I called the Randolph County Sheriff. Called him on his cell phone tonight at like 6:00, and I appreciate that he answered. And he said, yeah, we don't have a probable cause, but this is not our case. He said, it's probably best bet for you. He said, the state police are doing it. And he said, we were told right before they hit. Now, that's an interesting statement that he made. He told me we were told right before they hit, like they called and gave us the heads up, like they will. But he told me that probably reach out to the prosecutor's office. So tomorrow, I'm going to reach out to the prosecutor's office and the Indiana State Police, because somebody needs to be producing a probable cause affidavit, and they need to be doing it ASAP. So I don't have any more information, but I can do this to put the rumors to bed. Number one, because it was Julian and not the other one, not the blank Sulek, which I'm not going to say his name because he's not tied to this. And the other thing was rumors. Because it wasn't, because there wasn't him, because it wasn't him. And because this is coming from the state police rather than the sheriff's department, I don't think it has anything to do with Lewis. No, it's not going to get him off in any way. There's just some kind of a screw up with the probable cause. That the probable cause will be there. They've got it. The probable cause will be there, specifically because, and I'm not going to go into any further detail with what the sheriff said, but the sheriff said a couple things that make me believe, taking from my mind, that this was probably something that cyber crimes found. So this seems like it's just another case of something's in the water in Winchester. And by God, if you've got kids there, man, don't let them drink the water or something. If you got a husband there, don't let him drink the water. If nobody should drink the water. I don't know what's going on in Winchester, because there's just way too many of these damn cases in Winchester. I do not understand it. I do not get it. So, don't know what's going on here. We will bring it to your information, just for the fact that, first of all, I don't like child molestation, child crimes, sex crimes. I don't like that, but that's not something normally we would cover. The only reason I'm looking at this, talking about it, is because there was an overwhelming amount of people that thought that this was tied to the Lewis Galligan case. And I don't think it was. I don't. Yeah, I saw that. Teacher and a coach arrested. It's nuts. It's nuts. But yeah, so I don't think this has anything to do with Lewis. And I say that's good, because it means if Lewis had information on people, on like elected officials and the big wigs, I would be okay with that. But if Lewis is just diming out other people to try to get a lesser sentence, I'm not okay with that. And so I hope that this is just something that the police stumbled onto and they found it. But I'll get the probable cause, we'll read it, and then we'll put it to bed, and we'll let the criminal justice system do what the criminal justice system does. Okay, the very last thing that I got to say, and then I'm going to let my voice go. Catherine Callahan. I don't know where you are out there. I don't know where you are. But you owe me $20. I went ahead and we've got my gavel, so now I can gavel her down. From now on, when she's on, she's got a glass, hourglass. We've got a gavel to be able to gavel her. As you can see on the gavel, it says The Political Spotlight. It's got our initial air date. It says you're out of order. We've got this. I can gavel her ass down, But the very first official gaveling that she's going to get is, give me my money. I want my money. You better bring me my money. I want my money. I tell you what, Catherine, while I'm thinking about it, no, I lied. I don't want my money. Take that $20 and get me a box of critical duty 9mm bullets for my gun that you have of mine that you're going to give me. And we'll be talking about that soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here at the Political Spotlight. Thank you for hanging in there with us. I'm sorry it's been so crazy. I've not been feeling so well. The voice is a little crazy. I've got a headache, so we've been a little bit discombobulated, but we got through the majority of the main parts. Hopefully I'll be feeling better tomorrow, and we'll be here tomorrow, and then we'll be on a break. Sorry it's been so crazy. I guess I should have said this to begin with. We went to bed Tuesday night. I went to bed Tuesday night after the show. We got off the air, and I didn't do anything that I normally do. I just immediately went and laid down. I turned a couple things on, and I fell asleep. And I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning feeling like complete dog shit. And then I slept all the way from then until the point I called Kate and said, hey, you got to put up no show. And then I slept all the way until this morning, about 10 o'clock, when I got up and started working on stuff. So we'll talk to you guys, and we'll go from there. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you when we see you. We'll probably be here tomorrow. All right. Good night. God bless. Goodbye. What's that say? Oh, yeah, always. All right, bye.